you to do is figure out how to transform yourself so you can transform your business. Somebody out there tell me a big, hairy, audacious goal they have for their business. Anybody? Transform the lives of 1 million school parents in the city of Chicago. Now, hearing that in this room, how many of you thought possible, not possible? Be honest. Possible, possible, possible. So if you feel it's possible, then how come it's not done already? Because it sits in the space of impossibility. It sits in the space of impossibility. Now, I'm telling you that possibility is possible for impossibility, but you first got to understand what it is. Impossibility is that space that says there's maybe 1 out of 1 million people that it happens to, and that's probably not me. Notice the word in the sentence, probably, as in probable, not me. So what you're really telling yourself, your subconscious, is that I'm probably not going to be able to do it, so then it doesn't really go out and do the work. Because the subconscious really doesn't need your help to figure out how to do most things. Your brain works, bet you don't know how it works. Your feet work, you don't know how to do that. You eat food, digest food, see, walk, hear, talk, all of those things the subconscious does. You have nothing to do with it. But you create your reality. Every day, you make a decision of where you're going to be and how you're going to get there. Every day. And your subconscious goes and does the actions it takes for you to get there. Yes? So how about if you tell your subconscious that you want to be successful and then let it go do the work? Because it does exactly what you tell it to do. The problem is our core beliefs. Our core beliefs are the beliefs that we got from somebody else. You know, your mama and them, your mama, your brother, your cousin, your sister, your uncle, your job, social, media, your dad. All of those people gave you beliefs that became things that set you up to believe that you're probably going to have the same life that everybody else. And if you start your business, it's probably going to be the same business that everybody else has. Now, Mark, on the other hand, moved into the space of the impossible. He shakes his head, but let's be real. Mark wrote and printed 34 books. Is that the norm? So Mark's in the space of the impossible, because to him, what's impossible is probable. You get that? What's impossible is probable. No, Mark is sitting in the space that we all should be in. That the impossible is not impossible and highly probable when you understand that you're the one that orders your reality. That you're the one that decides how successful your business will be. That you're the one that decides what behaviors your business will have. And if your business is not successful, it's because you are behaving badly. Now, some of you would say, she just said I'm behaving bad. Yeah, I did. The reason I said it is because most of the time we won't tell the truth to each other. So we're walking around wondering why our business isn't the same as that business right there who's making $2 million. But that person is doing those certain things in a certain way every day so they can have the success and you're not. So if you want success, what do you have to do? A plan is great if it's the right plan, but the subconscious really doesn't need a plan. It needs a wish. It needs some desire. It needs some intention, attention, and it needs passion. That's really all it needs. because it gets up in the morning and makes sure you do too. It's working when you sleep. It's working right now. I think Father Tim said that we have 80,000 on average thoughts a day. How many of you think of the 80,000 thoughts? The problem is you don't think about the thoughts you're having. You just have thoughts. Somebody says something, you have that thought. Somebody else says something, you have that thought. Somebody else said something, you have that thought. You ain't ordered a thought. So now you're mad because you don't have the success you want. Yeah, I can give you this. 7 critical success factors for launching and driving a successful business. Yeah, sure I can. But if you're not thinking about the actions that you are doing in your business, it means nothing.
I keep very busy. I'm also the executive director of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Initiative, and I think that was also part of the auspice under which I was invited here to speak. And so the question I understood that we were trying to address today was what was my perspective on skills and abilities that make companies successful, particularly in times of economic distress. I mean, we're recently coming out of a pretty tough period. Some people would still say we're in that same period of distress. But I think there's roughly 8 things or so that typically characterize companies that are able to achieve in those kind of environments. And I'll start with an overarching set of platitudes that many people will hear, but you'll hear kind of laced throughout those 8 points. You know, the first thing is you got to know your customer. You could have what I would call the prettiest baby on the block, but if no one else sees that, can look in the bassinet and no one else sees that it's a pretty baby, you're really not achieving or won't achieve what you want in business. You really have to understand your customer, their needs, both explicit and implicit, in order to be able to conduct a successful transaction. I think the second piece is you really have to understand your costs, how you're structured to deliver on that customer value, and be willing to act on it. That's a key component, and we'll discuss that in a little bit. And the final piece is you should always be willing to invest in yourself. And investing in yourself is both a personal thing, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but carving out time for yourself to work on your company and not be in your company. And it's very easy to get caught up in those type of exercises when you're bootstrapping and you're trying to build up your organization. But also look at opportunities, and I'm here, you know, there's no secret there. I'm shilling my organization. It's a free program I think can provide value. But nonetheless, there's plenty of good other programs that are offered, whether by the SBA or other program offerees that are out there, and you really should investigate it. There are opportunities to improve yourself and your business. And, you know, I'm always joking to my colleagues, you know, the best way to discourage people from enrolling in programs sometimes is to make it free. And so these are some amazing opportunities that you can be leveraging, that even as I look at my program, as many folks as we matriculated, we still have to look for businesses, qualified and otherwise, that to fill up our slots. And I think that's a travesty, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. With that, I want to get into kind of very quickly my 8 thoughts on the characteristics of successful businesses that are built to survive in a downturn. I think the first thing is a relentless focus on growth. And that's not just from the I think all those things are important to have a wish, to have a lot of those other metrics. But just as important from my perspective is all the underlaying and underpinnings to make that happen. And so from my perspective, it's not just growth, it's growth along a strategic direction, understanding the different ways you can grow. There's about 10 odd ways easily you can grow a business. Knowing those and having a systematic process in place to say, well, this is the lever I want to pull today to grow. This is the lever I'm going to be pulling over the next couple of years to grow. And this is my growth staircase, to use another consulting term. And we could talk about that some other time as well, to be able to enable me to reach an objective. It's amazing how many times I hear someone say, I want to be a $5 billion company in 5 years. And then you ask them, well, how are you going to do that? And they kind of look back at you. Folks that do, no. And so you have to have that laid out if you want to act against that. So that's the first thing. I think the second characteristic of successful companies, they have employ, live, digest, breathe, sleep metrics. Knowing financial metrics and understanding where you are against those are absolutely key to being successful as a small business entrepreneur, as well as a large organization as well. But particularly for the small entrepreneurs, there are countless people, again, that I run into that are managing what I call managing out of their pocket, that really haven't established what the profit and loss position of the company is, what it requires, and they haven't identified how many customers do I need, how many leads do I need to generate, how much do I have to get in a transaction to be successful. And taking the time to understand that allows you to better drive towards a growth program that's going to work and actually generate cash in the long term. I would argue metrics are somewhat individualized because they really tie back to your goals. And you start with a goal and then you say, okay, to accomplish that goal, factually, what are the things that I need to execute on? And those become your metrics. But classic metrics are, you could use profitability, profitability on a sale or profitability per quarter. Overall, it just all depends on, again, how your business is operating and what type of businesses you're in. It could be in sales per employee, if that's a metric that's important to how you function. It can be number of new leads generated, if that's important to your company. What you have to do, rather than to kind of say, and you said earlier on, and I agree with that, we want to try to avoid kind of these overarching, these things that are very hard to apply in a specific business situation. What you should do is literally sit down with a piece of paper and try to work yourself backwards to saying, okay, here's the goal that I want to get to, whether it should have, I would argue, both a profitability piece to it and a sales piece. And then start disaggregating, here's all the things that have to happen to get to that, both from a, either call it anecdotal or from an experiential level, if that's the level you're operating on, or if you have the sophistication from a financial spreadsheet or some other more sophisticated device, use that. Leverage and reach out and get help if you're not able to do that for yourself. But you have to do that. You have to have metrics to know whether you're winning or losing in the game. And I'd argue, without that, you just don't know where you are and you can't make any qualified decisions. The next characteristic, I would argue, is leadership. And leadership, as I'm defining it, is understanding who you are as a leader, how you influence others as a leader, and working through that, understanding the best way to get people to follow your leadership initiatives. And so that's everything from understanding, am I, the classic A, B, or C type personality? Am I a driver? I mean, there's a number of different frameworks that you can use to try to describe yourself as a leader, but it's important to understand how you lead and what you're good and not good at so you don't have blind spots. I think that's the biggest piece of that. And we can expand on that a little bit later. I think the next point is employees. And to me, about employees, it's not just, everyone says you should have great employees. It's all the things that build into that. It starts, quite frankly, with a qualified mission and vision statement that the employees understand, and so that they're driving and they're pulling with the same oar as you are. There's a lot of different organizations you run into where you talk to the business owner and you ask, well, what is this company all about? Or what is this effort all about? You'll get one thing. You go back and talk to the employees, you'll get an entirely different set of values. And when those things are offset, it stops any company from being as successful as it can be, or any organization. The next thing is marketing. And marketing is kind of a outcropping of that growth opportunity, that customer value, and understanding from a mission and vision statement where you're trying to drive your enterprise. And a lot of times I tell someone marketing, they automatically translate that to sales. To me, marketing is really about understanding the promise to the customer and how that manifests itself in everything you do. And when I say everything, I just don't mean the wrapping on the packaging or the pricing. I mean everything all the way down to the receptionist that greets the people coming into your space, to how you communicate, to all the myriad of policies that you put together to operate as a business. All of those things say something about you, whether you know it or don't, and they build or detract from your marketing message. The sixth thing is operations. And that's really just trying to understand and being resourceful about how you operate. A lot of people, you go into their organization, whether when I was a consultant or now as executive director when I'm talking to businesses in the program. Well, why do you do that? They can't give you a good answer. If you can't explain why you do everything you do, stop, drop, go back and look at why you do that. And nine times out of 10, you'd be surprised at the time efficiencies, the people efficiencies, or the money efficiencies you might uncover. And all those are helpful in trying to drive your business forward. The seventh is capital, understanding it. And that's not always an easy discussion for folks, but it's really about understanding all the different type of capital that can play a role in your business and understanding how that fits with the timeline of a business. As a business grows, starts, grows, matures, how do you attract people? How do you attract capital? More importantly, capital resources to what you're doing. And the final piece, the final tip is really understanding network. And this is part of that exercise, but really understanding and being not exploitive, but being co-committant with a series of people to help build their business, build their enterprise, but at the same time build yours. So those are, at least 8 of my concepts or 8 of my thoughts, off the cuff mostly, about how small businesses can move themselves forward.
When I look back, and I've been doing what I do for a long, long time, over the years, I've had lots of things that I've done for lots of reasons. Some of them I initiated, some of them I reacted to. All of them were driven by, I believe, core competencies, but also interest and passion and experience and training. So now I found myself in a situation where I had a law firm, corporate and tax law firm, practicing internationally for entrepreneurial clients, broker-dealer, where we represent clients in connection with their investments. I developed a proprietary approach to socially responsible investing, wrote a book on that subject. We have an investment advisory firm that focuses in that area. Been very interested in corporate governance, questions of transparency and accountability, not only the law, but best practices. Well, you pull all those threads together and has led me to this field of social enterprise, social innovation. Because if you have entrepreneurship, which is another passion of mine, I've taught entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial finance at Northwestern, University of Illinois, and elsewhere, written books on those subjects. You pull those things together, entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial finance, corporate governance, socially responsible investing, accountability, transparency, you land, in my case, you land at social enterprise. Well, what does that really tell us? You have lots of threads in your life, and you don't necessarily place importance on them at the moment because you're focused ad hoc. But then, as you look back, you'll find that those threads all pull together. And you might say they were all for a reason, or in my case, since I'm a pretty spiritual person, I would say they were all for a purpose. Mm-hmm. But I think that's an important thing. So when I counsel entrepreneurs about, proposed business activities, or what might I do next, or how might I build on my existing success, I always look at 2 things. I look at core competencies, and I look at underutilized assets. Now each of you has both of those things. And if you find ways to combine them, integrate them, you can create value propositions for customers, for other stakeholders, in a way that positions you uniquely to pursue them successfully. That's my experience, and that's the lesson I would draw. Obviously, you have your own biography, your own positioning. What you have to offer is different from what I have to offer, but you've got lots to offer. And it's a case of kind of looking within and understanding what those things are and how you might shape value propositions out of them that might be commercially exploitable and harvested, and in my case also socially, because that's one of the things I'm interested in. But I think there are some lessons to be drawn.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Dante Mosley. I'm the Vice President, Business Development, Branch Manager for High Park Bank. High Park Bank was recently acquired by the Wintrust Financial Corporation, which is a large financial corporation of $18 billion in assets. High Park Bank, previous to that, was a $400 million independent community bank. Things changed once we were acquired back in December of last year. Lots of things have changed. Products and services, the things that I can do, the things that I can offer, expanded, it grew. And the relationships that I can nurture have grown as well. So as I talk to, and Nita has heard me say this several times, I am not a fan of using words like small business, mainly because if it's your personal business, it ain't small to you. It's the biggest thing in your life. And there's no separation of your business and your personal life, because they are one and the same, because your business is all that you are if you're doing it right. And if you can separate the two, God bless you, because most people cannot. I do not separate what I do. When I work with my customers, my clients, and I don't like to call them customers, they're not customers, it's coach and counsel. 90% of the time, that's what I do. I'm a farmer, and I saw a great commercial on television last night, and it was basically where it took a mother, and it had like a dual screen where at one point, you know, the great tradition of agriculture, she's farming, but she's taking care of her kids on the flip side. So our products have changed, but our goals are still the same. And what we want to accomplish is still the same. That we want to take something, an idea, a skill, something unique, and make it into something much larger than it is today. So, having said all that, rambled just a little bit, and now that I have your attention, once again, I think it was Daniel Byrne, you know, make no small plans. And once again, I don't like the word small business, because it's equated to, you know, your annual sales, your number of employees, and so forth. It's the biggest thing in your world, because it's paying your daily bills, it's sending your kids to college, it's putting food on the table. There's nothing small about it, in my personal opinion. So when I coach and counsel, for the most part, I don't expect anything to come out of the meeting except for me being able to give them some direction to get them from point A to point B. I want to know, really, what are you trying to do? What is it what is the goal? Because people can tell you all kind of stories and take you all the way around the block, bring you back, and tell you nothing. And a lot of times I have to cut people off and say, what is it that we're really, well, I want to be my own boss. No one is ever their own boss, even if you own your own business. And if anybody disagrees with me, you can go ahead and say you disagree. But when you're going out there and you got to hunt for customers, they become your boss, because you're going to sell them that product and you're going to maintain that relationship, and they will drive you. Can you do this? I needed it in 15 days as opposed to, 21. meet your new boss?
I am Assistant Director of the Institute for Justice Clinic on Entrepreneurship, which is at the University of Chicago Law School. And it's a legal clinic for entrepreneurs here in Chicago area. We are teaching law students how to work with entrepreneurs because it's not intuitive necessarily to lawyers how to work with people who are operating in such an area of uncertainty with their businesses. When you're trying to grow something from scratch, how you do that is very different from the way that a big established business operates and the way that lawyers deal with those big established businesses. So we're trying to train a core of law students who are prepared to work with entrepreneurs. And we're serving a community of people who otherwise couldn't afford legal assistance. That's our goal. We want to promote entrepreneurship in Chicago by making those resources available to them. So we're kind of a hub for legal assistance, and being invited to talk on this panel about infrastructure, I would say, obviously I approach this from the perspective of an attorney, but the legal framework for a business is part of the infrastructure of a business, and if you're not aware of how the business fits into that infrastructure, it can get caught up and entangled, and that can be an obstacle that can stop the small businesses in their tracks, and that's the thing that we don't want to see happen.
Stacy Flint. I'm the Director of Enrollment at Speartis Institute of Jewish Learning and Leadership, where we have a Master's of Nonprofit Management, so I recruit for that program. But I have 15 years of experience in the nonprofit community here in Chicago as an urban planner, and I've spent all of those 15 years in nonprofit organizations that were doing for-profit ventures within their nonprofits. And so most recently I was the Associate Executive Director of North Lawndale Christian Development Corporation, and I oversaw their finance and operations and over 300 portfolio of affordable housing units and about 12 to 15 LLCs and partnerships that were involved in that. And I just wanted to mention three things as I look at a lot of nonprofits or social enterprises that are earning money, making profit, but they have social missions behind their work. I think that one of the things that we can trap ourselves into believing that as nonprofit or social entrepreneurs, our passion is enough. And really, when you get to be, as Johns Hopkins research has just recently released, the nonprofit industry is 10.7 million people strong. It is the third largest industry behind retail and manufacturing, that we deserve to be professionals and professionalize our industry. So I just want to make 3 points. We need to professionalize our back office. Our back offices and our nonprofits need to be run professionally. At one point, I was one of the few people in the country that provided new market tax credit lending to the nonprofit community for building of affordable housing and also working capital loans. So again, I'm a nonprofit professional working in a nonprofit doing lending. And one of the things that as I went out to provide loans to people, they would give me, I would say, give me your financials. I need to spread 3 years of financials for you. And they would give me cash basis financials. And I said, no, you need to go back, you need to find an accountant, and I need accrual-based financial statements. So that's one thing. If you're working on a cash basis, get off. Find an accountant, and you need to be on accrual basis. The next thing is that you need to have professional staff running your back office. Yes, thank you, thank you. I am very proud of myself. I have a master's degree in urban planning and public policy, but I am not a CPA and I'm not an accountant. So the first thing I did when they put me in that position is I went out and hired myself a CPA because I knew better. I'm not going to do that. And when they let go of that CPA and I was doing the bank recs every month, I said, no, that's not for me. I need to exit here because I'm not doing you a good service, and I'm not doing myself a good service. Even though I knew QuickBooks that their financials were in order. I mean, I knew how to balance the books. Also, there needs to be a healthy tension between your CFO and your CEO. There's got to be a healthy tension. There's got to be a healthy tension between your CFO and your CEO or your executive director. That is the checks and balances that you need. Your CFO needs to be able to say, hey, I need to check you here. Let's talk about this, and be okay with that and adjust if you need to be. And then the same thing as your CFO, your director needs to be able to say, okay, I'm not feeling you there. This is what I need. But there has to be a healthy tension. If that healthy tension breaks down, your business will break down. The next thing is that you need to maintain institutional memory. I have been in so many nonprofit organizations that there is so much change going on that when somebody walks into that seat, I'm recreating your financials from 5, 10, 15 years ago. No, I'm not. What I'm doing is lying, because I'm trying to make up something that I didn't get, and there's not a trail there, and so I'm going to end up lying. The next thing, point number 2, is dismantle all the silos between finance, grant writing, and program development. I am a federal grant reviewer for the United States government, and I read about 15 grants, federal grants, asking for $800,000 or more around the country every year. And I can tell when your grant writer was here, your program developer was in another room or state, and definitely your finance people were in China, because I'm reading that narrative and I'm reading your budget, I'm reading your numbers, and neither the twain shall meet or communicate with each other, and you want $800,000 from the federal government. I don't think so. That's not going to happen. So make sure that you dismantle the silos, and that the same thing, finance should be saying the same thing as the grant writer, and the program developer should be saying the same thing. Because, and again, when you write that report back to me telling me what you did with your money, my money, I'm going to know, again, that they didn't speak to each other by what you wrote. And then the last thing I just wanted to say, when you were talking about, Dr. Grant, when you were talking about infrastructure, building human capital across the business, that's exactly, kind of my layman's term I'm saying. You've got to have everybody on the same page. And then I guess the last thing I would say is that you really need to advocate for the administrative costs in all of your government, in all of your grants and contracts. And that's one thing that the nonprofit and social entrepreneurs feel bad about, asking for profit or asking for administrative costs. Are you crazy? I have been a nonprofit developer, and I tell you one thing, just like Donald Trump, when I write a pro forma, I want my 10 to 12% developer fee, and my contractor is going to charge me automatically overhead and profit. So why aren't you asking for that for yourself? If you are truly a business person, thank you. If you truly want to be successful, make sure that you're asking for your administrative costs and advocating for yourself.
So the world has changed a little bit, how we communicate. Maybe you guys have noticed, right? How we communicate with our families, our friends, colleagues, coworkers, and clients. So who here has a Facebook page or profile? Yay, yes, we love Facebook. Who's tweeting? Who's on Twitter? Ooh, we got Twitter fans. All right, okay, I like that. Twitter's making a comeback. Did you tweet? Yeah, we needed a hashtag, Nita. I'll talk to you about that later for next year. We need a hashtag for your event. LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube channel, right. So who here has an email address? Exactly, okay. Email is not dead, people, by no means. And the one takeaway I want you guys to leave this event with, if nothing else, whenever you're planning your marketing plan, whether it be your social media marketing plan, an advertising program, whatever it may be, you have to include this one objective of growing your email database, okay? I know we get hung up a lot on Facebook and Twitter. We hear about it every day, okay? However, do you really own your Facebook followers? Are they your true customers? Your Twitter followers, your Facebook fans, okay? So let's say Facebook were to go away tomorrow. I know that's not gonna happen, and we'll all panic if it does. But how are you gonna communicate with all those followers? You spent time, advertising dollars, social campaigns, target marketing, and you lose those fans, okay? What I want you to think of is when you're planning that, one of the objectives is not only growing your fans online, but to gain that almighty email address. Because another reason is we are at the mercy of Facebook and Twitter's rules and regulations of how we can communicate with those customers. Facebook loves to change their rules every day and drive me insane, and many other social media marketing managers, okay? But with email, you control your brand. You control how you communicate with them. You control your reporting, okay? You own that customer when you gain that almighty email address, okay? So email by no means is dead.
The other thing that I'd say is, if you're going to use email and you're marketing out to people, become an expert. Represent your industry, represent your businesses as an expert. Be on a panel, ask to communicate. I've done a couple presentations for the City of Chicago Small Business Seminar Series. I've done presentations for different colleges where the entrepreneurs, the solo practicing attorneys that want to go out on their own, we come and talk to them on how to build the infrastructure and put that all together. In order to be an expert, it doesn't take a lot. You're already experts. You're great in what you do. You're good in your business. You just have to put yourself out there and be willing to do it. And the other part that I'd say to try and help with that affordable marketing is find complementary groups. Once again, I work in the legal industry a lot. That's about 40% of our clients. Well, there are other people that sell to those attorneys as well, whether it's somebody's supporting e-discovery or litigation services. So I ask my salespeople, and our networking are with other companies that support that same group. So we're sharing leads, we're sharing communication. And then the last one, and probably the most important one that I'd say that makes an affordable marketing program, and none of this that I'm talking about has cost a lot, is creating a referral program. If you don't have a referral program for your current customers, if you're not thanking them for the past business and introducing them into the idea that we all network together, and if we share a little bit, that is such a powerful way to do it. So we use email inside of our business. Every 60 days, we're pushing out the message that we have an existing referral program. At the bottom of my email and all of my salespeople, probably every 30 days I haven't put it on for 1 week, and it's just a simple line that says, referrals are welcome and often rewarded.
Marketing, don't in your business take it for granted. And let me say this, all marketing people are not equal, okay? Become the expert. Now, he didn't go deep into that, but you have to be the expert in what you do. Nobody in this room should be in business and they don't claim to be the expert in what they do. You should hurry up and reinvent your business today. If you're in business and you're not making what you want, or you're not becoming the expert in what you do, then there's some disparity in what you're really preaching, as they say. So everybody in here, whatever your business is, make sure you're the expert. One way to do that, too, with an email campaign such as Constant Contact, then is to possibly send 1,000 of your associates or clients an email saying, here are the top 10 reasons why you should go to Joe's Tire Shop. I'm Joe. Boom. One reason is we sell the best tires. 2 is we can match or beat any offer. 3 is because we have great customer service. 4, now, what you did is identify yourself as the expert, and you're challenging the reader to say otherwise. So when they get that, they're going to remember that, because the other guy that got the tire shop, he's not doing any marketing.
There were just 5 quick points that I wanted to make today, just to encourage everybody. First is to make sure that you are found online. I want to make sure that in addition to being found online, that you're also connected. And by being connected, you want to make sure that you have a high-speed internet connection wherever you go. And that's where Verizon comes in, because we have the largest 4G LTE network in the United States. And now one of the ways that you're going to connect and be productive, which is my third point, you want to be productive when you're working remotely or mobilely. And one way to do that is to leverage the cloud. The cloud is just a name for the internet. And there's a number of cloud solutions that are out there, and all that is software or a service where you can upload critical business documents so that no matter where you are, or if you're with a customer, you can access those documents, you can edit them, you can share them. You also want to be efficient. You want to eliminate paperwork. You're not going to see me walking around with a notebook sometimes. But actually, if you do, I'm usually going to take a picture of the notes that I take at an event like today so that they're electronically stored, okay? And finally, I want to make sure that you're profitable. There is a solution called Square, an Intuit Go payment. It's a small device that you're going to attach to your smartphone or to your tablet that will allow you to accept credit cards. If you're a small business owner today and you cannot accept credit cards, you're doing yourself a disservice. So those are just an example of a few applications that we offer, but other carriers offer as well. But of course, we prefer that you come to Verizon and do business with us because we are good stewards in the community and we do look to support small business owners like yourself. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I'd like to thank Nita with SBND for the opportunity to be here, and all of the great speakers today. You've really done a wonderful job and presented some excellent content for all of the attendees to take away. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2013 SBND Awards Expo. My name is Nita Marchant. I am the founder and president of the Small Business and Nonprofit Development Group. All of our awardees or honorees are special to SBND. We have high achievement honorees and we have appreciation honorees. They're all there, but all of them are very, very much appreciated. But the people that we are highlighting this year are those who have actually invested time, resources, and financing into the growth and development of our network.
How do we pause on nights like tonight and really celebrate our success? And how do we transition through perhaps some of the more difficult times we've had over the last couple of years? Now, a lot of people come to me now, since it's tough to get jobs, they come to me and they say, Barry, I want to start a business because I want to make a boatload of money. I tell them, if you want to make a lot of money next couple of years, you ought to find yourself a job, right? Because the only reason you should go out there and start and run your own business is because of passion. Because deep down inside, you want to see your ideas succeed and you're willing to let your ideas fail.
My name is Lily Chacon. I'm the Communications Director for City Treasurer Stephanie Neely, and I'm here to accept an award on her behalf and to encourage all of you to pursue your entrepreneurial dreams. Thank you, Nita. Thank you, Congressman Davis. And as you probably know, we're living through the toughest economic downturn that we have had in 100 years. When employees get laid off, when companies start hiring, when centuries-old firms close their doors, resourceful people decide to go into business for themselves. And that's where people like you come into play. You have a dream of a business that you want to nurture and grow, but it takes money to fan those flames and a whole lot of know-how. That's why City Treasurer Stephanie Neely has reinvented the office and turned it into a place that better serves Chicagoans and specifically helps entrepreneurs like yourselves get the support they need to succeed. The Treasurer's Office has a $7.4 billion portfolio, but it is also invested in helping entrepreneurs succeed. That's the reason our office is committed to helping Chicagoans take control of their financial futures in every way possible. The office promotes financial education for young and old. We have provided financial education to more than 240,000 CPS students over the past 5 years. We sponsor business education workshops, some of them in conjunction with SCORE. We set aside more than $3 million for small business loans, providing working capital that's affordable. The average loan size is around $12,000. These are market rate loans that business people like yourselves would otherwise have put on your credit cards and paid 22% APR interest. The small business loans have helped more than 160 businesses grow and thrive. In the process, they've created jobs and neighborhood prosperity. We're just coming off our 12th annual Small Business Expo, our most successful expo to date, with close to 4,000 attendees and dozens of free workshops. But wait, folks, that's not all. I'm not selling Ginzu knives. I'm promoting prosperity and financial independence. We're determined to give Entrepreneurs a Roadmap to Success, and through partnerships with people like SCORE and Constant Contact and SBND, we provide workshops that help take those dreams from inspiration to reality. Our workshops will teach you how to write a business plan, show you how to perfect your elevator pitch, and they'll help you navigate social media like Twitter and Facebook. Are you guys on Twitter and Facebook? All right, you need to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. It's Stephanie Neely. There are startup basics, legal issues, and leadership strategies that help businesses every step of the way. These workshops run all year long and are literally changing the business landscape here in Chicago. You can find more information on our website, www.chicagocitytreasurer.com. Finally, we need businesses to thrive and grow in order to keep our neighborhoods vibrant and keep those revenues rolling into our city coffers. You are the unsung heroes that make it happen, and you deserve a big round of applause. Thank you for listening.
To be with entrepreneurs, individuals who have the vision and the idea of self-determination as well as self-sufficiency. I thank you for bringing that kind of insight and wisdom to the environment. I sat next to Mr. Mosley, who is a banker, and of course, I was just fascinated thinking about all of what banks mean. And I looked up and saw a picture of Mr. Mathis, my good friend Virgil, that I've known for many, many years and have seen some of his inventions and have watched him as he has pursued getting them patented and making sure that nobody could take what he had created. We just passed a bill, a new patent bill in the House day before yesterday that is designed, and hopefully it will, be able to provide more protection for small outfits, for small businesses. I used to be on the Small Business Committee, and we always said that small business was the economic engine of America. And while it doesn't appear that way, we see all of the mega enterprises that are being created. I mean, we see all of the great big things, but the small business still is the economic engine that drives our economy in this country.
If I'm in a crowd or alone on a busy thoroughfare of my home, I want to live life I sing about in my song. One of these mornings, I'm gonna move on a little higher to get my reward. Soon as my feet strike Zion, I'm gonna lay down a heavy burden. I'm gonna feast with the rose of Sharon. I'm gonna sow and never get tired.
There is hope inside of me. I just want to be me. There is hope inside of you, and you just want to be you. So let God hold your little hand and make you understand that God will always be your friend.
Look at me. I have plowed. I have planted. I have gotten into the barns. No man can hear me. No man. I can work as much and I can eat as much as any man when I can get it. Oh yeah, when I can get it. Little man in black over there says, oh, women can't have much rights as men. Cause Christ want a woman. Well, where did your God come from? Where did your God come from? From Christ, from God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with it. Nothing. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn this world upside down all alone, well then these here together, I'd be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now that they asking to do it, the men better let them. Oh yeah, the men better let them. For I am it's the third truth. And I have come to proclaim liberty. That's my call. I have come to proclaim liberty.
Thank you so much. It's an honor, it's a blessing to be with each and every one of you this evening, the ones that's receiving the awards and the ones that's here participating, all entrepreneurs, not-for-profit organizations, various business coming together, connecting. And remember, we stand on the shoulders of greats. For over 30 years, the reason I have been presenting Images Productions, starting out with the pageants, carrying it on with the Black Heritage Awards, is because we each stand on the shoulder of great leaders before you. And you are today's great leaders, so give yourselves today a round of applause.
We're going to be calling all of our awardees in alpha order, those that we have not called yet. We have Mr. Mark Allen, Chairman of the National Black Wall Street Chicago. The person that is going to be accepting the award on his behalf is Miss Yvonne Spear. Olawale Idres from Africa USA Today, Africa US Today. Virgil Mathis, inventor, owner of Elevision Television. Miss Yvonne Orr, Southwest Suburban Region United Way. Mr. John Porter, Information Now. Johnny Blair, Brownville Chamber of Commerce. Naomi Davis, Blacks in Green. Shirley Frierson, Advocates for Veterans in Support of Housing. John Smith from Africa US Today magazine. Mr. Edward, who's representing Tony Blair, who is Johnny Blair's son. Make sure you stop by Verizon. These are the people that you should know moving forward. Anything related to electronics, phones,
televisions. Make sure you do business with Verizon because Verizon is doing business with you.
Again, I would like everybody to give yourselves and our honorees and those who have given a special tribute to our honorees, please stand and give them another round of applause.